This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Questions for Coach Freeze. We'll start with Damian Sordelet from the Lynchburg News in Advance.
Hugh, it was a rather quiet day for you guys yesterday. Didn't sign anyone in the signing class. First time that's happened at Liberty. No one signed in February. What was the thought process through that? And did you intentionally save some scholarships for, like you alluded to in the past, kids playing the spring, any transfers that may pop up that could help fill out this roster?
Yeah, it was definitely intentional. We felt very good about the 19 that we signed in the December period. You combine that with the number of super seniors that are returning, and to us, there was just great wisdom in holding the remaining six initials for several reasons. One, we're entering into a new world of transfer portal. Two, you've got these super seniors that are returning, and so you're in all likelihood, but depending on what happens between now and spring, you're going to be somewhat over the 85. And I think one of the worst things that could happen is a lot of kids come in and get discouraged, and managing budgets and numbers getting back to the 85 the next year. I like having some flexibility, and and I think there's still, unfortunately, because of COVID and the transfer portal, I think there's a number of high school kids that are going to get hurt in this process and get to play their senior year. And now people are like me saying, man, I didn't get to see them play as a senior. And you can take a kid out of the transfer portal at a need position. But our plan moving forward is certainly to keep an eye on the transfer portal. There are three positions that we would consider, taking. I guess I would never want to be put in a box. I mean, you always would take a great player, but certainly if you're talking about just depth, we really feel really good about every place now. We wouldn't mind taking another corner, maybe another linebacker, and a outside receiver. So if that happens, we have three, and we would take three and carry them forward to the next year's signing class. Or, it still remains to be seen what the NCAA is going to do in regards to the initial counter rule with the transfer portal. That's a discussion that's going to have to take place at some point.
Let's go to John Manson from A Sea of Red, then we'll get to Brian Stoltz.
Coach, is it your understanding right now? I'm not sure if anything's come out officially about this from the NCAA, but that you have one season, the 2021 year, to go above the 85, and by 2022, do you have to be back to 85?
My communication is with our compliance office here, and of course our administration, and Michelle Jack does an awesome job with keeping us as up to date as she can. That is my belief. That's my understanding. I don't know that I've seen that in writing anywhere yet that has made it official, but that's the way we're operating, is that we have one season that is the super senior COVID year that you could be over the 85, but then the following year, by that August, it's got to be back to 85 is my current understanding.
All right, let's go to Brian Stoltz.
Hello, good sir. When you handpicked Malik Willis for this starting position at quarterback, did you expect him to have such a good year? And two, where is he going to have to improve in the offseason to, go to another level?
Yeah, Brian, good to hear from you. Thanks for joining us. Did you write that we handpicked him? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. You may have written that, but it was pretty good hand selection, if that's accurate. But I don't know that that's totally accurate, but we sure are glad we have him. We've been we started watching our cut. We got caught up on recruiting last week. This week we started watching our cut-ups, and it's very easy to nitpick quarterbacks play, but as we're going through all of the cut-ups, we've gotten through basically 4 base runs and 3 concepts. he's got a lot that he can improve on, and I think he'll see that when we show him the cut-ups that we're making. It's basically around his. We missed a lot of opportunities for quick throws in the RPO game that he didn't see, and we've got to get to where we take those what we call give me throws, access throws. And then secondly, there were times for whatever reason his drop is incredibly short. Um, he's just not getting the depth, and in our pass protections, everyone, you're setting those protections, and those linemen are believe based on the protection we're teaching that on a normal 3-step drop from the shotgun that he's going to be at 8 yards of depth at least, and that creates a problem. We had more sacks than we would have liked this year, and some of it obviously is on the line and backs and their protection schemes, but he gets really I don't know if he's concerned about what's going on in his mind down the field on a pass play, but he cannot sacrifice his drop, and that got him in some trouble in many situations. And so obviously accuracy is something we'll keep on working on, but man, if I had to be pinpointed just from what I've seen thus far in the cut-ups, would be the pre-snap give me throws that we're not taking when they're adding an 8th guy to the box, and then and his mechanics on being consistent and getting his drop depth.
For the record, I didn't write that.
Thank you. How's your golf game?
It's going well. Gus and I are ready for you.
Are you entering your scores to get an accurate handicap?
Absolutely. I'm taking lessons as well.
Okay, but as long as it's accurate.
It's accurate. We're ready.
All right, go ahead, Damian.
Hugh, last month it was announced, you mentioned the 16 super seniors, and it looks like you're going to have your entire offensive and defensive line starters back for another year. And how much does that help in not only the development of this program, but building that roster management that you alluded to when you were hired, that you needed to get more depth on both lines so that way it could be filled out and properly handled, moving forward?
I think it's huge that for a couple, obviously depth and to have experience coming back in your O-line and D-line. I'm just thrilled with their decision to join us. I think also, I think it speaks for the culture this year, that kids want to return and certainly didn't have to. And proud of the fact that we graduated 16 guys at mid-year, and of course they could have all give credit to our academic staff for that. Christy Bites and her team do a great job, but it's exciting to me that we have depth coming back from players that have played a lot of snaps for us, and also, I think it helps with our in continuing to create, the culture that we want here. It's one of the reasons they want to come back, and then you want them to pass it on to all the new guys and to continue to build it with the returners.
Coach, have you gotten around to getting the schedule constructed for spring practice yet, or is that still in progress, or what's that going to look like, you think, this year?
Yeah, no, it's done. I went through the whole spring calendar. We're going March the 1st, I believe it is. March 1st is our first spring practice, and we'll go every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, and then the one Saturday that we're going would be March the 27th, and I believe, I need confirmation from Ian on this, but I think that would be some type of open practice on that day. I'm sure some of it has to do with what the COVID protocols are at that time, but that is our target to have. If we have some type of open spring practice, it would be that day, and then we'd finish up that following week with our remaining practices. So it'd be the month of March. There's no spring break. That's a little different. So obviously, if we miss the reason I went on and scheduled it this way, you have the 30 days allotted. We're not using all of them, but there's always that possibility that you miss a practice here or a practice there with test results. So I want to have some time saved at the end in case that occurs.
Is there something about the mornings? It seemed like it worked really well for your team here this year with a lot of practices in the mornings in the fall and then early games. You feel like you get a little more focus out of your team in the mornings?
Uh, I thought that was my first year doing mornings in the fall. I've always done it in the spring, but fall I've never really done that. But I'm an early morning guy, and Dom loves to work our team out. That's what they do now, and I thought our team handled it really, really well. And I thought we had our best academic year, even amid the COVID, as far as GPA. So I just think, man, you get up in the morning, you get yourself going, and I like it now. I thought it was beneficial that we had a lot of early kicks. Um, if I have it my way, we'll have as many of those as we can. Um, I understand there's times you need some night kicks too, but I love early kicks. I think our kids respond to that very well. So we'll continue practicing in the mornings.
John, go ahead.
Second straight year, you've replaced a position coach with a former FBS defensive coordinator with the announcement of Jack Curtis this morning. I don't believe, have you guys ever coached together? What's the connection there, and what does he bring to your coaching staff?
The connection it goes all the way back to when I took over at Arkansas State. Well, I come to Arkansas State as the offensive coordinator for 1 year before becoming the head coach. And that year, when I came in as OC, Jack was there, and he left soon after I got there to go take a job at Memphis. And so I knew of him for a brief time there. Obviously, coaching with all those guys at Arkansas State, I heard about Jack and his strengths. So knew of him first there, and then found out, when I got the head job at Arkansas State, man, a lot of our best players so take Demario Davis, who's, one of the best linebackers in the NFL now, Derek Newton, who's still playing in the NFL, 2D, Kelsey McRae, there's one more, DB, but all of those guys, I started finding out, all right, where are we getting them from? I want some more of those. And Jack had recruited all those guys from rural Mississippi and rural Alabama. So he did a heck of a job evaluating kids that didn't get taken by other people and ended up being NFL players. So I was impressed right away with his ability to evaluate. So then fast forward to now, as soon as Corey decided to go take the defensive coordinator's job with Kane at South Alabama, my first question to Corey is, all right, tell me who is, your phone's blowing up with a lot of connections that you have and a lot of people that would do great jobs, but I really liked the chemistry we had last year with another guy that has coordinated and coached the back end and Scott can, use as a sounding board and to bounce off things during the game and in practice and in game planning. I said, so who is that guy? I got tons of young guys that I know I could go hire and they do a great job, but is there a guy out there that's just like what we had with you, Corey? And man, the first name off his lips was Jack Curtis. And so I'm very slow about these hires, particularly when you're not recruiting, and I really wanted to take my time, and I didn't want to do it between the bowl and New Year. I wanted to enjoy my time with my family and the time we had away from here before we got back, and I just told Scott, you be thinking about it. And really, we only brought two people in, Jack and another very quality coach that did a great job in his interview. He's going to be a really good coach too, but we all felt that Jack was the right fit for us and brings a wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience. having coached at a lot of great places and coordinated. So he's excited. Welcome he and his family. I actually, I hired Bradley Del Pivito at Ole Miss, and he and Jack married twin sisters. So that's we've our wives have already connected. With their wives. He's got two wonderful daughters that are eighth graders, and they're both eighth graders. So their family will be joining us here, and we're excited to have them.
All right, let's get to Jermaine from FXR in Roanoke, then we'll go to Ed.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing, sir?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing good. I mean, you the man. We're just visiting around these parts.
No. That comes and goes, Jermaine. That is fleeting.
That's good stuff. Obviously, there's some game going on in Tampa this weekend. I don't know if you heard about it, but who you got in that game?
I don't keep up. I hadn't. So I've done something new this year that I have written down a 2021 growth plan for me. And when I started writing it, I found out, man, I got a lot of issues because it took me like 2 manila folders front and back, and I'm still writing on stuff that I need to work on. And so that's really what I've been spending my time kind of doing to start. And I hadn't watched hardly any TV at all. So first I would ask you, is anybody affected by COVID before I say? Either team?
Not directly, although Kansas City had a couple of close contacts because of a barber, which that was hair cutting guy, which you could say I could go see, but yeah, that's the only thing. Nobody though has been ruled out yet because of it.
Yeah, I would say it's very. I don't know. Everyone I assume is saying that the Chiefs have the better team and probably favored, but there's something about Tom Brady and Bruce Arians to me. I wish I was more like him in some ways. I mean, the guy just says what he's thinking all the time, and I believe I heard him say one time, "No risk it, no biscuit," or something like that. And I kind of like that mentality that he has. So I wouldn't put it past there being and they were very impressive defensively to me in what they did at Green Bay. So I'm going to go with the upset and say Brady wins another Super Bowl, he and Arians.
Coach, I'm sure you'll be watching the national anthem with your friend Eric Church singing it.
I did see that yesterday. He texted me, it's been a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about getting together to play golf sometime this spring. And I didn't know he was singing at the time, but I saw that yesterday, and I shot him a text. And it usually takes him about 3 days to get back with me on a text, though. I don't think he's not a hostage to his phone like most people are.
Ed, you can go ahead.
To build to a degree on John's recent question about Jack Curtis, what's the balancing act like? How do you go about that between making sure when you bring in guys with defensive coordinator experience that they're the right personality fit, but not squelching that assertiveness, that depth of knowledge that they can provide to your team?
Very, very good question. That's always my only concern in regards to when you bring in a guy that's coordinated as much as he has, and that's why I trusted Corey so much. That was my first question to Corey is, who is you? That whose demeanor is okay, riding in the second seat of the bus and doing that job with great enthusiasm. And when you're called on for your information and not feeling like, man, I wish I was in the first seat all the time. And so that was really my whole part of the interview with Jack. Obviously, I called around to find out what I could, and I trust in people like Kevin Peoples and Corey, who have worked directly with him, who I know very well, and Bradley Pivito and Pete Jenkins, who I trust immensely. And all of those guys said he is humble, team guy first. And so I felt good, but I still wanted to question him on that in the interview time. And man, I once you meet him, man, he's just he's the salt of the earth, humble guy with great knowledge. And I felt like I was I felt like the chemistry would be the same that we had this year with Corey.
Is that part of the benefit to trying to take a more deliberate process in filling these voids, which you just mentioned, as opposed to rushing to fill them, where you can really allow personalities to shine and get a clear picture of how that fits the program?
Yeah, I don't like being rushed in anything, really. I don't like. I guess game day calls sometimes are okay. I'm used to that, but with decisions that that affect a program or my family or my life, I don't function real well, feeling like I'm rushed, and so I've just kind of, the older I've gotten, I haven't let anybody rush me with decisions that I didn't want to be rushed with. And this was one. And Scott's a little different. He wants to. He's a little younger, and let's get it done. And I just said, no, we're going to wait. And when I get back in the office, I'll have thought through everything and talk to the people I need to, and then we'll proceed from there. And not having to be on the road recruiting in January certainly helps. I made a mistake one time and rushed because of that, and just don't want to do that again. And we took our time, and I think we got the right fit for us.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to John.
Coach, I saw an article last night that discussed you and quoted you from a radio interview, I guess you did earlier this week. And apparently you had talked about Liberty joining a conference, and that you would be certainly open to that. Is that something that you are open to, or are you comfortable with Liberty as an independent? And how frequently do you and Ian talk about Liberty possibly joining a football conference?
Yeah, I think my answer to them, I believe that was the Newhousel interview. I said I feel quite confident that if it was right for us at the right time to sit at a table and discuss joining a conference, that our administration would certainly be open to sitting at the table and having that discussion. But I also said that that's not something that I can control, so I don't worry about it. I just worry about making sure we're the best independent football team we can be, and competing with the schedule we're given to get to bowl eligibility. So that's what my focus is. Ian and I do not talk about that a lot at all. But I have complete confidence and trust that if something is going on that is something we should look into, I feel very confident that Ian can handle that without me. And if I need to be brought into it, I'm sure he will. So I don't, again, I think we're open to anything. But in the meantime, my focus has to be on what is right in front of us. And that is, we're an independent football team, and we've had good success in year 1 and 2. And I want that to continue. And if that leads to us sitting at the table to join some conference that's beneficial to both parties, then I'm sure our administration would listen to that.
Damian, go ahead.
Last month, you guys announced the signing of UTEP transfer Deron Lowe, a cornerback, return guy. What did you like about him and bringing in a grad transfer who can make an impact not only as a cornerback but as a kick returner?
Yeah, just loved his tape. Loved talking to him on the phone, FaceTime. His attitude, his approach. He's mature. And it was a place that we needed some depth at corner, and I think we definitely got better with him. Dom's been impressed with the way he's working in the weight room and conditioning. He's a little out of shape. Some of these kids that didn't have as fortunate of a season as we did and missed a lot of time. It shows a little bit in the weight room and in the conditioning part of it, but we're excited about having him.
All right, I'll go ahead and take the liberty of wrapping it up here with the last question. Coach, when you look at your team and everything that's coming back on offense, I think I saw a stat the other day that it was the second most production in the country returning offensively, and then a good bit coming back on defense as well. coming off a 10-win season. I mean, what are the expectations? Not that everyone else has, but that you have for this team coming into the fall, and what's it going to take to live up to those?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that. So I've met with each group. I finished the last group this morning, met with the defensive line, and I wanted to do it by position before we start having some team meetings. But you've been around me, I think, long enough to know now. I don't really put quantitative numbers on what success looks like. I've never done that. I just don't like that. I don't really get it, because especially being an independent, and every year our season structure is different. And one year you may play 7 teams that on paper are as good or better than you depth chart wise. Who knows? So I don't get caught up in putting quantitative numbers on it. And here our theme for this spring is to be a program that is obsessed with good habits. Well, a program is made up of people, so that starts with me, the coaching staff, the players, and are we obsessed with good habits? And that's what I'm going to teach from in our month of March. Is coming from the book Win the Day. But my expectation is that we enhance our chasing of the standard to compete for 60 minutes on any given Saturday against whatever the schedule gives us. And how do we do that? And we do that by, if we're obsessed with good habits, whether it's nutrition, workouts, academics, life choices, what we think, body language, whatever it is. And, I told y'all about my growth plan. I don't know if you can see, but man, all these pink circles here, that's all stuff that I need to do better. And man, I want to set that tone of that, because the beliefs we have will drive some behavior, and that behavior is going to give you a habit, and that habit is going to give you a result. And we need to start with the result and work backwards, and make sure that look, last year was fun. It was awesome. It was incredible. Great memories. We'll always have those memories. Can't take it away. I have the picture of us top 20. I have it. I'll keep it. I'll frame it. But there's something about programs that can sustain that over a period of time. And I don't mean sustain 10 wins. I'm not saying that. I don't, 7 wins next year may be as good a year as 10 wins this year. That's reality. People won't see it that way, but I would understand that what, next year, you don't know how good these other teams are going to be and all of that. We don't know what's all going to happen with us, but it could be reality that we look at from behind the 2021 season, say, man, 7 games and a bowl game, we had as good a season because we chased the standard that we're setting with great habits, and we got the most out of that year, if that makes any sense. So I don't put quantitative numbers on it, but if you're asking me what we have to do to remain where we want to be, it starts with this spring, this group understanding the past is the past. And we must be obsessed with good habits and chasing the standards we want, and we'll see what happens next year in those 60-minute games.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time this morning.
Yep. Thank you, guys.